Hello guys, welcome back, and in today's video I will be reviewing the Pridwen tier list for AFK Journey. Now, I know most of the characters and I own most of the characters, so I will probably be able to tell you if I agree or not with these rates and why some of those are really low, and explain you why. Or some people might say like, oh, this guy is really good, and then I'm gonna be able to tell you why they're C or B in certain content. Some of them I don't have, for example Aaron, but I do know some things, and that's why I can explain you why is S plus there. And probably S plus in late plus as well. Damien as well. I had a feeling about Damien, and I guess I'm right. I have Damien, but it's just purple. So some of the characters just don't own, like Burial and the other, what is it, Scarlita, and what is the other guy? It's not even there anymore. Oh, Dionel. Yeah, Dionel. So yeah, let's begin. First of all, let's check the criteria. Early on, for story, early on means 0300 AFK stage, character epic, no X weapon. Mid 301 700 AFK stage, mythic plus with the X weapon unlocked, not necessarily plus anything, just unlocked. Late 701 plus AFK stage, characters at supreme plus. Okay, all skills unlocked and EX weapon at plus 10. It's kind of important. For Dream Realm, how the character perform in the boss killing mode when you get better rewards for doing more damage to them. Doing more damage, you get better rewards. That's the focus. Each of the 4 available bosses has its own rating, as they require unique approaches to tackle them. That's true. For all bosses, we're currently looking at them from the late game perspective, so Supreme Plus, okay? So everybody has Supreme Plus on the Dream Realm. And you will see why in just a second, why some characters are like crazy. Anything else? PvP, how the character performs in PvP, characters rated at Supreme Plus. It's also important to note, okay? Now, I'm trying my best to not lose too much time each character because it's a lot of them. I don't want the video to be too long. So let's begin. Thoran. I also table mode, I like this more than pyramid because pyramid is too like scattered, so I don't know who was where every time. I would have to do this and be like, and pause many times. Okay, now let's begin. Thoran, S plus in everything, S in most of the Dream Realm, and then Crocker is S plus. I agree with this. Thoran is extremely powerful. People that think Thoran is not that good is because they don't know that he becomes extremely powerful on Mythic Plus because of the pact forged with the DPS behind him that is going to heal him when he does damage, and he also doesn't die once. It can die twice. So and also his ult deals a surprisingly amount of damage because he stores the damage that he takes. So if you can keep him alive before he completes the channeling, then with the damage is going to deal a fuck ton compared to the other tanks. I even saw moments with my Thoran, which is not Mythic Plus, ulted for like 100k on one character during like an AFK stage. So I agree with that. PvP S plus makes sense. Super synergies with other characters. He doesn't die once. And then he does like that much damage, etc. Now he doesn't have anything else defense wise, but for Dream Realm bosses such as Crocker, where he has a mechanic of insta-kill, he can eat 2 mechanics of insta-kill before your other teammates do, so you have time to do damage, and that's why Dream Realm is rated on. So the others are okay because it's not like extremely powerful, but I think as a tank is one of the best tanks in the game overall, because even though it doesn't have to do anything much on the Dream Realm, his ult can store and deal a lot of damage compared to other tanks. Okay, moving on, Smokey and Mirki. I feel like they're kind of underrated here, late and mid. I guess what I think I know why, but the reason why they are PvP A here is because they have a short area of service when they do ult. When you get Mythic Plus or Supreme, they do get increased area, and they're after 3 ults, her area becomes a damage area once every 3 ults. So that could help a lot in PvP brawls when it's like everybody's together and Smokey is able to pick up everybody. But if you have like a Vala, or if you have a Silvina, one of those that like jump to the end of the enemy line, you cannot heal them with Smokey. That's why probably PvP is A. Also Snow Stomper is B, because Snow Stomper blocks everybody from, silences everybody constantly. So there's no point in bringing Smokey, because Smokey is going to be like sitting there doing almost nothing. Because it's not able to ult. It's really relying on the ult, and that's why it's B. Everything else is popping off. Mid and late, S tier, that's fine. Moving on, Rowan, it's a little bit of a niche unit, but it can be used if used effectively, is going to carry your team, because his ult is going to give a lot of energy to your team. I believe it's like 300 or even more energy. And on top of that, it can also heal a little bit, because it puts like health potions that automatically get triggered and go heal whoever drops down a certain threshold of HP. And this could be this could make or break your PvP match. If you have Rowan and the enemy doesn't, it could help you reach energy, the ultimate level, the ultimate trigger, way faster if you have Rowan compared to someone that doesn't have Rowan. And that's why is as plus tier in PvP, because it can help you like jumpstart the battle, right? If you have like a Vala or someone that is really slow, like Cecia or Hewynn, you can use Rowan to make it go faster and do more damage earlier, okay? Koko, really slept on character. I don't know why I keep clicking on them. Really slept on character. A lot of people underestimated Koko from the start. I didn't. I just didn't get many copies. I have her on my wish list on the Mauler banner, and Koko is extremely good when it comes to damage mitigation. She can heal. Her ult gives a 30%, I believe, or a little bit more, maybe 40-45% damage mitigation on the ult for everybody in the party, and it's room wide, so even if characters further away will benefit from this. So she is a really good unit to pair if you want to bunker down in strategy wise while you're trying to clear something, okay? And she could also be used instead of a healer if you don't have if you're not getting blasted, because Dream Realm bosses become harder and harder when you kill them. Like you need to fight a stronger version. If you are super under level or under geared, then maybe just Koko is not enough to self-sustain the entire party. But if you can, and if you are good enough with your team composition, you might just be able to use Koko and maximize on like everybody else, like doing damage and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, as in everything, that's pretty much fair. A lot of people were sleeping on her. She's really strong, so that's fine, nothing to say here. Cecia, and then, okay, so Cecia, my account is bricked. I didn't get a single Cecia ever after the guaranteed from day one. She is extremely strong though, so I am molding out to Wazoo because I really want my Cecia to be at least Mythic Plus. On Mythic Plus, she gets more CC. When the battle starts, I believe like 2 people get encased into thorns, and she starts stealing stats like physical damage and magical damage from the enemy that she encases with those vines, right? On top of that, she is basically making the fight 6 versus 5, because the moment she ults, she also summons Mr. Hyde or whatever, Clyde or whatever it's called, the golem, and not only the golem appearing is going to AoE CC stun basically everybody for a couple of seconds. Those thorns are also going to deplete the HP, steal the stats, and from now on, as long as Cecia is alive, you are fighting with 1 more member, which deals a surprisingly high amount of damage. We're talking about like 15-20k around the mid-game, mid-game. So Cecia is extremely powerful in the story. Now, for story, we mean AFK battle, okay? For PvP, it's just she's just S, I feel, because she's a little bit slow. She's really slow, okay? So it's gonna take a little bit before she actually can get her ult up. You could do something like speed artifact plus Rowan to make her go faster. You could potentially speed it up, and that applies also on Dream Realm. So don't get bummed by those ratings. A is fine. She's not insane because she's really slow, and on characters like Snow Stomper, I feel like this could even be a B, because she might be silenced in the moment when she's trying to summon the golem and you are losing precious seconds. Now, it's not a realistic scenario, so we'll leave it A. A is fine. But yeah, sometimes you don't deal enough damage to be like an S+, right? Moving on, Antandra, another kind of slept on early on, and now people are picking up that she's like extremely good. The game decided to give me a lot of Antandra, so I'm using her. She is almost, I could make her supreme, but I don't want to use too many Omnicorns. So at the moment I'm just saving until I have enough to just normally raise them to supreme. She is really strong at Mythic Plus. She also gains an ability similar to Korin's ability when she jumps to like a unit that needs help and she shields them. The shield is not too big, but that's surely something that you can use to help. Late game she falls off a little bit, I believe, because the damage is going to be so high. And you're gonna have to use multiple teams, and this is gonna be probably not gonna be like the best of the best, right? And that's why she says, but S is still pretty high. Now, Skyclops, this is a problem because like Skyclops is gonna spawn ads, and Antandra, oh sure, she does like the ad. The only AoE that she has is during the ult. The ult takes a lot of damage, takes a lot of time to charge, and the ult is an AoE. It's not even that big of a damage. So here, like she falls really hard in Dream Realm. I never use her in Dream Realm. I always use Thoran. If you have Thoran, you should use him, and even if it's like not Mythic Plus, still use him. His damage is going to compensate the fact that he's kind of squishy early on if you don't have him built too much, right? So Antandra doesn't do anything in terms of damage. So in an arena where you need to do as much damage as possible, this is basically throwing, right? In PvP, she's okay. So I agree with this, right? Viperian, a little bit slept on, I feel like, but for the story it's fine. Completely shit in Dream Realm because he relies on attaching those Vipers, right? And like just getting back HP from the Viper when the character dies, the enemy dies, but they don't die. The boss is like, it has like fucking 50 stacks of HP. There's no way you can do any of his kit during the Dream Realm, and that's why it's bad. On PvP though, it's going to be really good because of the same kit that doesn't really apply on Dream Realm but does apply on PvP. It's going to siphon HP, it's going to his ult might be strong enough under the right condition to just one shot the enemy team if you have him really high rarity. So overall I agree with this. Valen, yes, I agree with him. I agree with the Pridwen. Like here makes perfect sense. Also, I wouldn't even say S until 300. You use him until on the like the maybe 50-30 stages of AFK battle, and then you don't use him anymore. It just falls off extremely fast. The ult is good because it's invulnerable, but after that, even at Mythic Plus, it doesn't gain too much. Gains like some extra damage, like this weapon becomes imbued and shit. Nobody uses him. Sad, because I think it sounds like Goku. Is the voice actor for Valen just Goku? English voice actor of Goku? I don't know. Let me know if you know. Reinier. Reinier is going to be one of the strongest characters in the game, and the reason is for different reasons. For Dream Realm and for another different reason for PvP. In general, you can use Reinier even at 0 constellations, at zero rarity, because of his kit, which is kind of creative, kind of cool, right? It can be used in Dream Realm, and it can be used early on, and it can be used in PvP even without any rarity. But if you do get him to Mythic Plus, it's going to take a long time, or you need to buy a lot of copy or a lot of pulls, special pulls. In Dream Realm, he gains a 25%, I think, damage debuff taken on the enemy. Right, so for Dream Realm, this is basically plus 25 damage for everybody in your team. He also swaps one of your allies with one enemy on the same line. He also picks enemies and teleports them into another dimension so they don't bother your team with his ult. So for PvP, this is correct. So You could also do some weird things with Reinier and the swapping, even on Dream Realm, even though it doesn't swap the boss with you, but it teleports the character to the enemy, to the close to the boss, and from that point on, even if Reinier dies, the characters is still going to have leech. So they're going to be way more tankier, way more keen to survival, even though they're gonna maybe get aggroed and shit. Like, it's gonna be fine because they're gonna deal a lot of fucking damage. So it's gonna be really, really good overall. So I agree with this. This is probably the best character in the game if you can get him to Mythic Plus. There's no reason to not bring a Reinier everywhere you go. Now, Odie. Odie is a nod character. He's really strong, but you need to keep in mind that he doesn't perform as crazy, in my opinion, on Dream Realm. I don't agree with the multiple S's here. I don't agree with this, with them. Sure, when he goes to Supreme Mythic Plus, it does gain more damage, but you are missing one of the good portions of his kit, which is the insta kill, right? And I'm gonna tell you right now, when you go to Odie and you check this, it says Odie immediately defeats poison enemies when their HP falls below a certain limit, which equals to 5.2 times of the base damage dealt by Dark Poison per second. Each time a poison enemy hero is defeated, the limit is increased by 0.5 times of the base damage dealt by Dark Poison per second, up to 2 times. So this means, this also a level 3 gets initial energy. This means that during the Dream Realm bosses is not going to do that. So his whole Mythic Plus kit is going to go down the drain, besides maybe Skyclops, but that doesn't make any sense because like it doesn't really, not necessarily is going to kill the birds. Maybe you can one shot the birds instantly with everybody almost. So it doesn't really matter. So I don't necessarily agree with those, but it makes sense on some. For example, Snow Stomper is fine because of the fact that it doesn't rely on the ult. It's just going to be there and shooting, and that's why it's probably better for Snow Stomper. Like I kind of agree, but I wouldn't say like S+. I mean, I guess. Croaker, why is this? Is it because of the? No, right? Snow Stomper also for the snowman breaking, right? They could also help on the snowman breaking. I don't know why Croaker. Maybe because like big damage and the least amount of time possible. And PvP because of the kit, right? If it's Supreme Plus or if you have like Mythic Plus, you can start one-shotting people and it gets like higher and higher the more you kill them. So it's going to be easier for him to insta-kill people that go below a certain threshold, right? Lyca, good early on, falls off really badly later on. She can be still used, she buffs a little bit, but she falls really, really bad. And PvP, not really. You have way better choices. Moving on, Korin is really good, and also he becomes a little bit better on Mythic Plus. He gets like a big damage spike, a little bit of a damage spike with true damage and stuff like that when he goes to help your friends, like your allies. Is overall good, and it could be used to cheese some stages where you're just dying, right? You could use Korin to do that. You could use Korin and Antandra to maximize that type of cheese, to like rushing to the rescue. But yeah, it's overall good. It's pretty good on Dream Realm. Good damage, good sustain. It's going to jump on your allies that it's about to die, so you can maybe survive, make them survive long enough for your healer to heal. In PvP, it's kind of pointless, right? So B makes sense because you don't really use Korin for PvP, because like what is he gonna do? Jump to the rescue and then die? Like there's not much you can do against like another player. But the bosses and monsters, you're probably chilling, okay? And that's why it's no S+. It's probably that's why the reason why it's B in PvP is the reason why it's not S+ on story. Now Hewynn is basically the strongest healer in the game when it comes to raw healing, but she is low a little bit, so you need to get him to. That's why she's S+ here in mid and late game, especially late game, because after you get him to Supreme Plus and the weapon is like +10, I believe, you get a 300 bonus energy when you start the combat at weapon level 5 or 10, and then at Supreme Plus you also get haste on the enemy, on the allies that you are healing. Now for the bosses, she's fine. I feel like I mostly use her for damage mitigation, because on Mythic Plus you get 30% damage mitigation while you're doing the ult. So if you happen to have an ult lined up really well with an ult of the enemy, you can mitigate that ult, and maybe some allies are not dying and thus dealing more damage. But overall, I mean, it's a healer, doesn't do anything else besides healing. Sometimes she is slow, so sometimes she's bad. I would say, I mean, B is fine, maybe A on the others, because I feel like she's worse than the other Dream Realm bosses compared to Snowstomper. Snowstomper is worse than the other, because she cannot ult, right? If you ever ult up and the Snowstomper is silencing you, now it's like even worse. I wouldn't say C, maybe I would say C, I don't know. PvP, fine. If you don't put her like behind so she get targeted by Vala or Silvina, if you don't, she's going to be really good, so that S is fine. Byron, I have Byron, I don't use him too much at the moment because he's low rarity. I use him on the tower. I think he's fine. I didn't use him on Dream Realm. I think this should be fine. He instantly ults. That's his gist. He instantly ults and spawns like the bird, whatever he's using. So he does okay damage, and that's why I think probably S+. Let's check what he does on. Let's check what he does on. Wait, do I know? Yeah, there you go. On Mythic Plus. On Mythic Plus, Elona is the bird. Damage to the enemy and stuns them for 3 seconds with Byron's Bay controllers if damage exceeds like that. This skill takes effect after 20 seconds and will be triggered when Elona is field, and then consumes all the... Byron takes a fatal blow. Elona consumes the energy to block the fatal damage. Restore HP. Cannot be targeted. Recovers 40% HP per second. Okay, so like huge survivability on M+. And this is... Chance to leave inside Elona if the Falcons and Battlefield. Okay, so yeah, that's probably the kit for Byron. That's why it's S+, because it's like S on story, because he has big survivability on M+. For the rest, I think like the damage is fine, is okay. Same for PvP, and that's why he's A. I think I agree with that. Brutus. This is the opposite in my opinion. A lot of people gave him a lot of credit, but it's because it's early game, right? I knew that there was no way it was going to be relevant for too long, and I am right once again. The early game, sure, you can use him to cheese. You throw him to the enemy lines. It's going to be immortal for a little bit, and then he's going to die. But during that immortal phase, people were arguing with me multiple times that Brutus is insane, Brutus is crazy. Sure, early on, yeah, sure. It buys you enough time to get your ult up, and then when the enemy is approaching you, now you're ulting everything, and now you win, right? You can use them to cheese, that's true, but after that, in a team where in a mid or late game is going to pop like a balloon, and there's no way you are able to survive with Brutus, and that's why it becomes worse and worse the more you go through the story and the approach end game, which is like as we said 701 plus. For end game and mid game is 301 to 700, and it becomes worse and worse. You really don't have any reasons to bring him anywhere. PvP you can cheese as well. You can do the cheese, but for most of the Dream Realm, I feel like they're doing Skyclops A because of the invulnerability. It's gonna make you cheese one of the lasers when it becomes too strong to survive. And the AoE, that it's like spinning AoE, you can kill maybe the little birds easier with Brutus. But are you gonna mono tank with Brutus? No, right? So you are taking up a slot to do that cheese. I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. His ult doesn't deal that much damage anyway, so it's not like you are doing the same damage as Thoran. So as I thought, Brutus is going down here, and it's kind of mid, right? I never said it was bad. I always said that it was mid, and that's why he is what he is, mid. I would even put B here, to be honest, but it's fine. But you need to be on par level with the enemies, for example, towers and stuff, for him to be relevant, which is not always the case, if not it's not ever. Now Walker didn't play Walker. It's always sounded mid to me. I guess it's okay because of just raw damage that he does. It's not reliant on the ult. It just spams damage. I don't have many copies of him. Nobody uses him, and maybe that's why, right? We don't know end game. Maybe his Mythic Plus weapon doesn't do shit, and you just use him for Dream Realm. Eventually, maybe if we, like in a year, we manage to get Walker to a Mythic Plus, you can bring him in Dream Realm, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of whatever. Vala. Now, Vala, in my opinion, is a hit or miss for players. Like, you either love Vala, you have her maxed out, or you don't. Or you're trying to if you're free to play. My Vala is Supreme Plus. I like Vala gameplay. I like how she becomes invulnerable and like untargetable. Not invulnerable, untargetable. After she kills the first enemy, she has two stances, the melee range and the melee range, yeah, and the melee stance and the range stance, as to that. And she switched that according to what's the HP level on the enemy that she's targeting. Now, the targeting, it sucks a little bit of ass. I need to say that. It's a little bit bad because sometimes she gets baited by who's closest when she kills someone. Who's the next closest one? Igor. And she starts, like, if it's the wrong character, she might just single-handedly throw the game for you because she's trying to catch a character that she's not supposed to focus until the end or something like that, right? Or either first or the end. So sometimes it's not, the marking is unreliable, but overall, for the story, she's cracked. For the PvP, I would argue for an S+, but I guess if she is going against another Vala and the other Vala has a higher weapon, or she's Supreme Plus, or yeah, a higher weapon, or she's a higher level to the point where she has more energy surge, energy depletion on the attacks on my Vala, then your Vala fucking dies immediately and gets killed by the enemy Vala, and then you lose. Okay, that's what happens. Also, she does true damage when she ults on melee range, which is insane. So she's pretty good. Necro Dragon is the best because Necro Dragon doesn't do much, so you just like blast him. For the rest, she always get targeted in Snow Stomper, so your other characters need to help her come out of the snowman. So yeah, I kind of agree with this. I mean, the damage is fine, but compared to what, okay, so for Skyclops, A, I agree. For Croaker, maybe S. I mean, I feel like they're doing that just because of the insta kill, right? I don't know. Maybe might just be like the damage, right? Okay, well, I don't know. I think this should be S, this is S, and this should be S as well. Actually, no. Not because she gets targeted. These two should be S in my opinion, but whatever. Temesia. Temesia is another character that people slept on, me included. I apologize. I did slept on Temesia, but just because she's okay and early. I just didn't see the reason to use Temesia or to put Temesia in the wish list or to pick Temesia from any source early on, because I thought, like, okay, she's a tank. Why is she running around? Like, the enemies are going to potentially de-aggro and ignore her. She's going to be running around, die immediately, and because everybody is going to like attack her, right? Because she's a tank. She doesn't have any shields until later. I believe she gains a shield of Mythic Plus or Supreme, which can help. I think it's Mythic Plus, which helps. She also, but her mechanic is not to tank. A mechanic is to disrupt the enemy units, to knock down, deal damage, push back, right? That's what she does. But early on, you don't need that. And early on, it's going to feel really bad because she's just going to be epic, and that's it. So you can't really get everything from her. She gets way better on mid and late, and that's why I started to get her. I put in the wish list. I did get one copy already. She's good in Necro Dragon because in Necro Dragon you need to move a lot, and that's why probably Vala is S here, even though I think it's fine. So S plus is because you need to move a lot, and as a tank and moving a lot, it means that you are, I feel like it's the only one that is actually actively moving. So it's the tank that is going to potentially survive the longest. Funny enough, because you're gonna move around, the boss is gonna do the debuff where if you don't move, you get debuffed. So everyone that is moving is going to be better on Necro Dragon, right? So, and that's why she's S+. She's probably the best choice for Necro Dragon. Snow Stomper is fine. I feel like the fact that she doesn't rely on the ult is fine as well, and that's why she's S here. She's B on Croaker. Okay, well, it is what it is. Maybe because she could be probably if she could intercept one of the big AoE bubble nukes that he throws. Maybe you would get damaged for no reason, or maybe she doesn't have survivability on her own, and that's why if saying that she dies immediately. I mean, isn't every other tank that is not Thoran B? Antandra, where's Antandra? Antandra is C on Croaker. So I guess that's the main reason. Like, okay, you cannot survive twice, so B. I mean, sure. Silvina. No, Silvina is S in PvP. I would also say that she's S in mid and end game. I did also make a strat that I cooked. I'm going to upload it as well with this video. So it's important to get some Silvina later on. Early on, she's kind of whatever. Later on, she also gains a shield when she teleports to the enemy team. There are some juicy tactics that you can do in PvP or in the tower or even in AFK stages if you want. Now, for the boss, she's basically useless, so that's C is fine. Mid and late game, that's fine. S. So I agree with this. S. Shakir. I have one copy of Shakir. I understand that it's good, but I feel like you need way more copies. Like you need him to be Mythic Plus, and like most people didn't probably focus on him early on, so it makes sense that it's like neglected in early game. If you eventually get him to Mythic Plus, he gets way more sustain, way more damage. His wolf stance lasts for longer, and you can it doesn't use energy while he's in the wolf stance. Once you unlock Mythic Plus for longer and longer, so you can stay in your ult stance for way longer, which is good, right? And that's why Snow Stomper is S, even though he will be let's say silenced. The moment he has the time to do the ult, then he doesn't have to ult again if you have him to like Supreme Plus, let's say, right? So that way he's gonna deal a lot of fucking damage. Same with PvP. I think is like I don't know how it's called, like when you cannot be stunned, cannot be moved, those I don't know. I don't remember the word. It's fine. You know what I mean, though. It's like immune to CC. So he has like super armor. So I think it's a decent unit to pick up for late game if you can. Okay, keep an eye on him. Scarlita. I'm not gonna talk too much about them. They usually everybody but Reinier. The other characters like Scarlita, Dionel, and the clown one. They're like insane when they get their Mythic Plus. But how are you gonna get the Mythic Plus? If you are going for Reinier, because you need to go for Reinier if you're free to play. If you don't, you're throwing. You're crazy, right? If you get like Scarlita, now you need to wait for like fucking 5 months or something for you to get more copies to get them like to Mythic Plus. Until then, they're mid. So it's like very important for you to not mess this up. Pick up Reinier. As you can see, because of his debuff, he needs to be the first. Unless you're a whale. If you're a whale, then sure. She gets like she gets a fuck ton of power when she gets the Mythic Plus weapon, which is basically all of her kit inside the M Plus weapon. If you don't, she's going to stay there, do virtually nothing. She is fine, but remember that these votes are for Mythic Plus or Supreme Plus, right? She's insane in PvP, but that's why, right? Because of Mythic Plus or Supreme. Rhys, I don't know, I think it's okay. It just goes around. It's like kind of AoE, unreliable, shooting everywhere. I think it's fine on some characters like Necro Dragon because he goes around and it moves, so it doesn't get debuffed. Besides that, PvP, mid. And it's okay for everything else, that's fine. I don't own him, so I don't know exactly what to tell you. So yeah. Marilee, it's a slept on character. I am secretly well, not that secretly, because now I'm making a video about it. I made a video about her as well. She is secretly insane for the dream bosses, because she has a fuck ton of attack speed. She gets lower and lower requirement for her power-ups to trigger, because she needs to be alone, right? She needs to jump away alone. She moves a lot, so she's cracked for a Necro Dragon. She does a lot of damage, and on her Mythic Plus onward, when the enemy, what do I keep saying the enemy? When the your allies are doing the ults, once they do 6 ults, I believe, or 5 or 6 ults, all of her basic attacks become true damage. So this is insane for Dream Realm, and that's why she is S+ in every one of them, because of the sheer attack speed, movement, and free attacks, true damage that she has. For these encounters, she is insane. For PvP, she's going to pop immediately. She has very low HP, and for the story is she's like mid. She's like okay. She's not mid. She's okay. So I agree with this. Lucius is one of those characters a lot of people have a lot of copies of. I did have a lot of copy of Lucius. I had Lucius Mythic or something in PTR, and because the game kept giving me Lucius, and this time I don't. So my Lucius is like not even epic. It's really good early on because he shields, and if you want to manual it, you can also save your team a little more efficiently, so you don't throw too much. But early on, after that, it becomes extremely mid. His shield gets instantly destroyed. He doesn't have anything else. He does have a bash, which is fine early on to disrupt a little bit, so you don't instantly get jumped, but everything else is extremely underwhelming, and that's why is B. I agree with this. Igor is a pain in the ass, especially for S+, for mid, late PvP. I would say even early, to be honest, especially when you're doing like the tower or you are trying to defend something. If you put him on defense, you are most of the time chilling, especially if he's high rarity. It's like Supreme Plus and Mythic Plus. At Supreme Plus, he gets one more tombstone. Like, what the hell, right? So Igor, if you doesn't know, he doesn't die until you destroy every tombstone that he places, but it keeps placing them multiple times during the fight, so this could help a lot surviving, and that's why it becomes from okay to S+, because you can technically bait around the enemy characters, trying to kill Igor all the time while he jumps around the arena, making them run, doing nothing while running and trying to chase him, and it keeps not dying, and your team can focus and gun the enemy down, and that's why it becomes stronger and stronger. The damage is okay. They nerfed him a lot from arena. In arena, it was cracked. So his damage is low, so Dream Realm is basically pointless with Igor. I don't know why you're doing that, but yeah, it's ass in PvP, especially defense, in my opinion. So that I agree with that. Granny Dahnie is fine. You can do some CC shenanigans with Arden as well, with like super CC combos that could be cool or good in PvP. She's okay for the Dream Realm bosses. I agree with this. Mid and late game is S, makes sense. She gets a sturdier shield later on, and that's why she's S probably. Overall, very tanky tank. She also gets back some HP, and her ult, it's a mini AoE. I think it's like 1 tile or 1.5 tile. I think it looks like 1 tile. I think it's 1 tile. 1 tile AoE around her, 360, that immobilizes the enemies for like 4 seconds or something. It's pretty big, and it can help you win because of it, right? But she's kind of useless in a Dream Realm, so you don't want to bring her in Dream Realm, okay? We don't really have a tank that does super crazy on Dream Realm besides Thoran, so you really need Thoran. Moving on, Dionel, it's another one of those, like he needs his weapon to be extremely strong. If he doesn't have the weapon, it's going to be feeling a little weird, right? It's going to lose a lot of damage if he doesn't get this Mythic Plus weapon. So, and when he does, he becomes strong, like the other, like Scarlita, for example. I don't know much about him. I think he gets like higher attack speed, like deals more damage. This does like a room-wide AoE that AoE that does more damage if you have Mythic Plus weapon. I feel that's why he's B. It's because he's more an AoE guy than like a single target, so it's not going to have a big single target damage on the bosses, and that's why it's B. For the rest, it's chilling. But it needs to be Mythic Plus or Supreme, right? Which is going to be extremely rare if they don't do anything else. So Seth is kind of like not super mid until like niche content. I feel like in PvP is good. He gets a lot of attack speed, leech. It jumps on enemies. Like it can be good. I can see an S tier in late game. It gets on crack faster and faster. Necro Dragon is fine because he moves around. PvP pretty good because he's going to harass a lot of units and it's going to potentially kill a lot of units if you have him at high rarity. Same with this. I would argue, no, I think this is fine. Early on is B because I think like nobody uses him and he doesn't have his kit unlocked too much at early game, like 0 to 300. Makes sense. I agree with this. Satrana, I have her like, the only thing that she has is like she's invulnerable during ult, and that is it. Damage is made, everything else is made, so she's not used. Makes sense. I agree with that. Parisa, I like Parisa, but sadly she is okay, right? She's okay in PvP, but she's like kind of mid in everything else because she doesn't really do that much damage. She doesn't do, she doesn't move, so Necro Dragon should be even C, to be honest. But yeah, I don't use her much, so I don't know everything about her, sadly. So I think B is fine. I think B is fair. Niru, I don't like Niru. I don't know why. I don't like Niru. He's bad in Dream Realm. He's okay in PvP and he's okay in mid and late game. The only thing about Niru is that he makes ghosts of your fallen comrades. So basically, the enemy team needs to kill them twice, kind of. They're not as strong. So I don't like Niru. I just don't like him. It feels mid as fuck, and he is mid as fuck. So if you have any other option, don't use Niru ever. You're gonna have to use him in the tower though. So keep an eye on him. Maybe you can chuck like once you're done with everyone else, you can maybe put him in the wish list. way later, maybe in like 4 months you can put it in the wish list just to get some copies, or maybe you get random copies from those like little balls that give you random purple. Mirael mid, I agree with this. By the way, Niru. Maybe I would argue PvP is a little better, so this would be A and this would be still BB. I don't know what it does on, let's actually check. What does it do on Mythic Plus? Gets ultimate without consuming energy when a battle starts. Okay, so he gets like early, but it's kind of redundant because if they don't die, then it's like, okay, the spirit will not lose HP over time until all allies enter spirit form for 8 seconds. I guess it makes everybody, it's like a necromancer, right? I guess if you have Mythic Plus, it's a little okay, but this just makes perfect sense. I agree with this. Mirael, complete mid. I'm not going to talk about her. She's okay. You should replace her as soon as possible. Not viable for PvP. I agree. Khafra, he's a little bit better because of armor shred. I think he has. Same with Kruger, but Kruger is not good for the story. He is good for Dream Realm. So if you can pick up some copies of Kruger at some point, it could do you good for the Dream Realm progression, which is kind of important, right? So why? Same as the reason as Khafra, but Khafra is way less, right? What is Khafra? So Khafra has a little bit of it's a tank, right? Wait, is he a tank? No, it's a warrior, but it is a tank. It is a little tanky, right? It's supposed to attack and do like defense shred, but it's not as powerful or as common as Kruger. It's not like a debuff, just like he's attack ignore, I think, a little bit of defense. So he's fine mid and late game. PvP, everything else mid as fuck. You don't use him on dream bosses. Faye, completely mid, just like a starting character. Replace it as soon as possible. I agree with this. Aaron is insane in PvP. Is insane in late game and is really good on mid. I think it's because of his of his AoE when he basically does like whoop, because everyone is in one spot. Damien, underrated healer. It's not targetable until you destroy everyone. Like everyone dies and you destroy his little carriage. If you don't, he keeps spamming it, and he deals surprisingly amount of big heals on your teammates, which is pretty good. It can be is fine in Dream Realm. I feel like I kind of agree with this because he cannot die. So the only thing you're losing is his little healing card. It's insane in PvP. I agree. It's insane in late game. I agree because of what I just said. Cassidy. She's good on the dream bosses, I agree. I don't have her high level, so I can't really get use of her Mythic Plus weapon and stuff like that. PvP is underwhelming. You can use anybody else. She's like, okay, I agree with this. Carolina, I agree with this. Huge CC. She freezes one guy for like 5 seconds. Pretty good if you can make it to the end. S plus on late game. We are talking about the Mythic Plus. Let's see. Snowball Witchery deals more damage, area damage. There's magic defense. Okay, makes sense. And inflicts frostbite when dealing damage with Snowball Witchery. Okay. So a big, huge increase in damage and CC makes sense. Okay. I don't know about this, so I want to take it. Okay, sure. I know she's good in PvP though. Burial is whatever. It's only good in PvP because it's like it's kind of a Igor situation when he's going around, like going into the shadow, like emerging, like spawning shadow clones behind enemies and like dealing damage. Even if it's not there, it's gonna deal damage to that enemy. So it's good in PvP, but everything else is like mid, right? And he needs the Mythic Plus. So it's like the last one that you should be picking up, in my opinion. Arden I think is pretty good in PvP and in late game, and also I would also like to add is good on the tower. It's good on the tower because you can do the CC mitigation. When he gets the Mythic Plus, he gets CC on his ult. And combined with characters such as Granny and other characters like Cecia, maybe. I know you can use Cecia in the tower, but you can in late and PvP. You can do the CC galore and make the enemy not play the video game, which is really good, and that's why it's S, I agree, but it's kind of underwhelming on the bosses. I agree with this, yes. Salazar. I feel like Salazar has some potential. Especially on tower. You could do some tactics with Salazar, but it's very niche, so I guess that's why it's like that in late game. You don't really need, and you don't really gain anything by stunning the enemy, like one guy every 2 million years in late game or like in an AFK stage. He does okay on Skyclops. Why? I don't know. The others are like, it's pretty mid, and he's okay in PvP, and it's probably because it's like extremely niche and you need to do that weird mechanic that I told you in the other video. So that's why. Le Mans, people thought that his CC and like pushing and moving and interrupting was gonna be crazy, but it doesn't have anything else besides that, so it just immediately dies everywhere. So sadly is mid. Necro Dragon is B only because he moves, but I think it's like pointless. Kruger is dog shit in everything besides his super omega defense shred that you really want to use, and is insane for the bosses because you need to deal as much damage as possible. So even though he doesn't perform well in everything else, is cracked because of his defense shred debuff that he applies on the ult, I believe. So you want to have him at some point, right? Atalanta, sad because I think she's hot. Sad because she doesn't do much, not much damage. She has a little bit of crowd control. You can maybe line her up to push some enemies, but that is it. Right, so everything else is underwhelming. Now, we made it to an Omega video, sadly, because I wanted to say what I wanted to say. I'm gonna probably put like fucking timestamps so you know which character comes where and when I'm talking about those characters, so you can like go in order. But yeah, I tried my best. I am not able to do a tier list review without talking about the characters. So here's a 50 minutes video, Lamau. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree, if you even watched the video, if you make it to this point, comment booba in the comment. Okay, if you're watching this right now. Okay, so let me know. Thank you for watching. Go follow my Twitch, twitch.tv/Jagazin. Sometimes it's like a tongue twister. Sub the channel, do whatever you want, like the video, subscribe, whatever. Thank you for watching and see you next time.